Well, the Wall Street Journal editorial board is talking about this Schumer Manchin bill, the one that they're calling the Inflation Reduction Act. But many of the experts that you talk to are saying it will do nothing but increase inflation. The Wharton School of Business said that this bill will increase America's inflation over the next 2 years. The Joint Committee on Taxation said most of these costs are going to be passed on to the families that make less than $400,000.
Yeah, so it says the IRS is about to go beast mode. So what this bill funds and what it doesn't fund is an important topic that a lot of people on Capitol Hill are going to debate. But I think one of the biggest problems we have is simply that it seems like Joe Manchin's talking out both sides of his mouth right now, how this bill will affect the coal industry, and obviously he thinks he's going to get a pipeline out of it. So
one of his biggest donors.
Yeah, so the criticism here against Joe Manchin is not so much that he's voting for it, but why he's voting for it. And, you know, is he showing himself to be just another swamp creature who paraded as a moderate for a year to be the hero? We do have a quote here, I think.
They're saying the IRS is getting tens of billions of dollars, which means we could expect more audits. And that's what the Wall Street Journal is talking about.
You mentioned beast mode. That's what the Wall Street Journal is calling this new bill. And they say the following inside the pages of the Wall Street Journal. Progressives want Joe Biden to unleash what they call beast mode executive power. And the Schumer-Manchin tax bill supplies the cash to turn the Internal Revenue Service into Wolverine. Now, that is quite an analogy, Wolverine. I think they're referring to the Marvel superhero here. But the cost of this, as you point out, is about to land on the middle class, is the contention of the Wall Street Journal, as the IRS increases audits.
Well, as cute as Hugh Jackman is, we do not want the beast coming to our houses and auditing us, looking through our tax records to make sure that we filled them out correctly and then charging us if we did not. This includes a corporate tax increase. It's going to hit corporations. It's going to hit small businesses. Where are they going to pass that cost on? To you, the American people. We mentioned the IRS with the audits, $1 billion to convert these postal trucks into electric vehicles, money for solar panels and wind turbines. That sounds great, right? We would love cleaner energy. However, when we're in a recession and all of the experts are saying this is going to make it worse, the inflation's going to be worse over the next 2 years because of all this spending of the Democrats, this is not the time.
But are we really in a recession? Or I guess the question is, what is a recession?
They're trying to change the definition.
You know, I think if you spend a whole lot of money that you don't have, negative things happen. Call it what you want. But I guess it is, I believe it is a recession. It's 2 quarters of negative growth. But I guess there are a lot of little things you could lay out and say, well, but. And I think we have a whole montage here of folks saying, well, but.
What a recession really means is a broad-based contraction in the economy. And even if that number is negative, we are not in a recession now.
We're not going to be in a recession, in my view.
The idea that 2 quarters of negative GDP growth is a technical definition of a recession is wrong.
2 negative quarters of GDP growth is not the technical definition of recession. It's not the definition that economists have traditionally relied on.
We're not redefining recession.
If we all understand a recession to be 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP growth.
That is not the definition.
This is pure comedy. I mean, when I was a kid, I took a few trips to New York City, and they don't have this really going on the streets anymore. But back then, you could go on the streets and there would be guys like with the card game and the shell game, right? Follow the ball underneath the shell. And, you know, it's a sleight of hand magic trick. But they weren't great. They were okay, and you could follow along with the ball. It was a bad magic trick. This is a bad magic trick. You can see the ball. We can see the trick. We can see the sleight of hand. Not the least of which because we've seen the magic trick before. We've seen this administration attempt to redefine a woman, to offer some definition as to what is an assault weapon. We've seen them play with the definition of court packing, and now here we see them in front of our eyes, changing the definition of a recession.
You know, I mean, changing the definition of some things might work. Maybe like you can interpret the law differently or whatever. But when it comes to a definition that is in the Webster's dictionary, you can't change that. It is what it is, right?
Well, the only thing I would add to that, Ainsley, or change about that, you can and they will. And watch Webster's change its definition. Wikipedia has already changed its definition of a recession.
That's true.
This magic trick has a big supporting cast of clapping monkeys to echo whatever they say. And Facebook is already throwing up fact checks on anyone that says, isn't a recession 2 quarters of negative GDP? No, 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 not according to the latest
When
magic
is Twitter going to start censoring? We're taking down your comments if you put up the real definition of recession.
Not everybody's falling for it, though. And I don't think most people are falling for it, not the least of which is Joe Rogan, who says the definition of recession matters.
People would think that it's trivial because they are talking about this economic downturn, but it's not trivial because we've always used that term recession. And we've always used that term to define whether or not the economic policies that are currently in place and whether or not the management and the government has done a good job of making sure that the economy stays in a good place. They definitely haven't done that. So in order to escape that, that sort of distinction, they're literally changing the definition, which is terrible, and it should be pushed back against in a big way. It should be something that people get angry about. Like, hey, you're with definitions in order to pretend that you're doing a good job.
Yeah, bottom line is people don't care. People don't care about D.C. arguing over a technical word used for economy.
Semantics.
They care about what things cost them, what money costs them. Trying to borrow money now is going to be incredibly difficult. What groceries cost, everything we need just to live our middle-class lives.
You're absolutely right. Interest rates going up too, so your rates on your credit cards, if you try to buy a house, if you try to sell your house, it's affecting every family. Gas prices and the supply chain crisis coming up. We're going to interview moms about they can't get baby formula now, and they're saying that problem won't be fixed for a long time. I mean, what do you do when you have a baby? We're having so many problems. The border is open, and the majority of even Democrats are saying they don't want Joe Biden to run again. So they can come up with all these different definitions, but we're smart. We're smart Americans, and we know how it's affecting us personally as families.
Well, we've defined recession as government spend a little bit less and let our money work for us better. How about that?
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.